What is up, MMA fans? This is Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined tonight by a bantamweight currently on a tear in the UFC. He's in the midst of a four-fight winning streak, the second longest of his career, with all four being ended in the second round or earlier. He aims for his fifth straight with a win at UFC Tampa on October 12th when he faces fellow finishing ace Andre Ewell, and that man is the one and only Marlon Cheeto Vera. Marlon, thanks for giving me some time. Just about a week or so away from this fight coming up next week.
Yeah, thank you, man. And already all sorted down. Everything is ready to go, and I've been doing everything I could have in my hands to win this fight.
Now, like I mentioned in the open, you are on a nasty four-fight winning streak. It could be said that you had earned a spot in the UFC bantamweight rankings, yet you still have not broken into the top 15 at bantamweight yet. Are you at all surprised that, especially that you haven't broken into the top 15, into the rankings, especially since like a guy like Uriah Faber came off of 3 years away from the sport and jumped right into the rankings, or do rankings not matter that much to you? Because I've talked to a lot of fighters and some of them just don't care about it.
I'm getting paid, so I don't give a fuck about the rankings and who's in the rankings. Yeah, as you say, Faber, I don't credit him for being the rankings. It's cool. He's a big name. He fought for the title. He never get even close to win the title, and you know, he's back. He beat a ranked opponent, so I guess he should be there. You beat a ranked opponent, you should be there. If you have a really good win streak, you should be there too. But I don't know who make the rankings, so I don't know how they do it. And at the end of the day, I really don't give a fuck. So I'm just focused on getting better, staying ready, and then took as many fights as I could. I'm have a fight next week, and I'm ready for this fight. Like, there's nothing I really don't do before this fight, so I feel everything was set down. Everything was set. All areas, stand up, wrestling, ground, everything is dialed in. So I'm just just losing weight right now, staying sharp, and you know focus on Saturday night. But I'm already thinking I have probably one more fight this year. So if there's a short notice, somebody get hurt, I'll be ready to roll in December too. But for now, all my focus is on next week, the 12th, and is going there and put this guy away.
Now, speaking of rankings, because you've been on absolute fire, you got the winning streak going. Fighting a ranked opponent is always good in terms of bringing up your status, maybe getting yourself into contendership, title shots, all those kind of things. Were you surprised? And no disrespect to Andre Ewell, because Andre Ewell is a very talented fighter too. But after 5 years, great winning streak, were you surprised you at least didn't get like a top 15 ranking fighter so you could continue to move up towards a title shot?
Well, I was I was thinking on fight Eddie Wineland.
Mm.
He was in the rankings not a while ago. He just coming off a good win. So I told my manager, hey, let's get let's get like a big name guy fight. Let's or fight somebody in the rankings. My manager told me he's not fighting until next year or December. I don't know. So I'm not too much of a calling people out on Twitter because I get bored of that stuff, and then I got so much to do in my life that
Yeah.
I don't have time to have a double face just for make a couple extra fans because I'm speaking nonsense or whatever. People know me. I don't give a shit. I fight anybody
Mm.
anytime, so I don't need to be talking too much for that. And then they told me he's not fighting this year, so I was like, okay, well, I want to fight in Tampa. It's close to Ecuador. A lot of people will see me fight for the first time, and I have over at least 400 people telling me like, "Hey, I'll be there." I'm like,
Wow.
"Okay, cool." Well, and then I was like, then the UFC told me like, "You're gonna fight in Tampa." Well, they called me and they told me this is the only option we have. I was like, "Fuck, okay, let's do it." Like what I can say, like, "Oh no, he's not in my level."
Yeah.
It's a fucking fight. Somebody clip a punch, you're out. So
Yeah.
I train as hard as I can all the time. It doesn't matter if he's a piece of shit or he's top five. So I just make sure I'm ready to fight and keep keep my mind ready to go. Like I'm always thinking that might be the last fight of your life. That could be the fight who turn things over and you're the fucking man. So you never know. So I'm always going in there, willing to anything happen. Like I will never go away from a challenge. I will never run away if the fight gets hard. The deeper the fight goes, the most game you will see me. So Saturday night will come. I don't need to speak too much. My last four fights can speak just for itself. Most of the guys that talk a lot of shit, they're bored as fighters. Most. Some ones are,
Yeah.
really good. When Conor started this new era of fighters and talking and making good things, he knocked people out.
Yeah.
Okay, I give him credit.
Yeah.
He can have some issues outside. I'm still giving him credit. John Jones, he speaks a little bit of shit. He finished fights.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys talk a lot of shit, but the fights are really boring. But they make it because they talk so much nonsense that people want to see them lose. At the end of the day, they're getting paid, so good for them. But I don't need to do that.
Now, this is the longest winning streak of your career since you opened your career with a 5-fight winning streak. What does it mean to go on a streak like this at the highest level of the sport and all finishers, like I mentioned, not only in terms of, like, say, sending a message to the division on yourself and how good you're a contender, but does it, like, kind of solidify any doubts you may have had after you had lost back-to-back fights that tells you, confirms to you are one of the best bantamweights in the world now?
Honestly, dude, I don't even think about it. Like,
Hmm.
in my mind, it's not like, oh, I'm coming off four, I'm about to make number five.
Yeah.
Like, to me, all the time, it's like, last fight's over, that shit is gone in my mind. Like,
Hmm.
I let it go. Like, I'm already thinking what I want to improve, what I feel I need to improve, and I ask the people who train me what you think I should improve.
Hmm.
Like, I could be in a 10 win streak, I forget about that. That's what sometimes when I go back home to Ecuador and people is really crazy about me and people get like super excited and tons of people come to me.
Hmm.
I don't even notice that I'm like, okay, I appreciate the support. I take a picture with every single one,
Yeah.
but in my head I'm like, I'm not thinking on this because you can see through the history of all the fighters that have become really famous. At some point they're gone. At some point people forget. At some point there's a new star and people is only talking about the new ones. So it's gonna happen with me too. It's gonna happen with everybody at this point. So how famous I become, I don't care. How
Hmm.
many wins I have, I don't care. I only care about have money to provide for my family and win the next fight that is in front of me. All what is already past, that's past. Like I'm not fighting to keep a winning streak.
Hmm.
I'm just fighting to provide for my family. I'm just fighting because I'm badass. I'm just fighting because this is what I love to do, and I love to get my hand raised. But you don't get that by being all talk and a lazy ass. You get that by
Yeah.
hard work and dedication. And that's what it's all about for me.
Now, I mean, talking about providing for your family, getting fights, you want to fight again this year. This has been a frustrating year for you in terms of, like, fights getting booked because on several occasions your originally scheduled opponents that the guys had to pull out and the fights got canceled or rescheduled, whatever. At this point, are you just happy that it looks like the person you were supposed to face from the start, he's gonna make it to fight night and it's not gonna be a cancellation or some other opponent all of a sudden last notice?
That's another thing that I'm not even fucking worrying about. Like I don't care. Like I prepare myself for one specific. When I was fighting other people in the past, I focus on the guy. I watch like at the most I watch twice clip of my opponents. Really focus. I don't like to watch more of that because every fight is different.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, let's say I'm fighting a tall guy like right now, tall, lanky, good boxing, move around. I'm not like looking only for tall guys that are good athletes.
Mm.
I look for, I have my grounds, focus on the fight with the guy that is really similar. But I also spar with good wrestlers, good kickboxers. Sometimes I do only boxing, sometimes I do only kickboxing because it's a fight. Like
Right.
you will never find the perfect match. You
Right.
can find something similar to train, but if you focus too much, like I only spar with this guy in this camp, things can go things can go wrong. The guy can hurt. Now you're fighting a different type,
Right.
or the guy you're sparring is you think is the same, but it's really not because it's two different humans. So I just focus on have a really really good gas tank so I can go to fucking bottom of deep waters, and besides that, I just try to keep my technique sharp in all areas, and then if my opponent pull out tomorrow, I will stress for sure with somebody completely different. I take it because it's just time to to go to war. And then
Right.
at the end of the day, when people go to real war or Vikings or whatever, they're not like looking at how big or strong is the guy. It's a fucking fight.
Right.
So I just think like that. I try to be really mean in here and going in there and just thinking one thing like this is not a sport in Fight Night. This is a sport when you have to provide an example for young kids. When
Mm.
people reach out to you, say, like, "Hey, you're my motivation." Then this is a sport, and they might add like that. But Fight Night, fuck that. There's no sport. It's a fucking. You're about to you're about to go to
Yeah.
war. It's real.
Yep.
It's 1-on-1, and only one will win, and that's gonna be me.
And I'm glad you brought up, like you said, going in there being mean, because you are one of the more exciting fighters in the sport. You are a finisher, and often an issue with lower weight classes is that there's a lack of guys that are, consistent finishers like you are. First, do you feel, you are appreciated on that level, and people understand that characteristic of you that you have? And second, where do you think that finishing nature comes from? That ability to pounce on people when that moment strikes, that meanness. Where does that come from that you're so good at getting guys out of there early?
I'm South American. I grew up in like in a I grew up in a nice family. We never were poor or like or fucked up family, but I used to live in the neighborhood, like not in the best one. So my family was good, the house were good. My dad, economic wise, were decent, but we were also millionaires.
Right.
But if you go um 15 years ago where I lived, two houses apart were like really poor people. So
Mm.
I fought a lot in the streets, and I don't fight with the pretty cute kids that don't know shit. I got my ass whooped by kids that live on the streets, and at the same time I was playing soccer, playing with them. So I feel when you just grew up like that, you just notice how real is life. So I'm so glad I have both sides.
Right.
I came from a really good family. My dad always been a hard worker. That's the best example I could have. I never see my dad complaining or crying or bitching about life. He was always working, always providing. So me growing up, I was like, there's no way I can be a nobody. There's no way I can be a, just a piece of shit that don't provide.
Right.
Yeah. I, Back in the day, yes, I fucked up. I have a daughter when I was super young, but now I'm look back. I'm so glad I have my dad as example. So I'm always grind for the family, and same with my grandpa, same with my uncles. I never see like sometimes you see some families that that the dad is more girly than the mom, and they don't have the balls to do some stuff in life.
Yeah.
That's not my case. I grew up
Right.
in an environment like not even an aggressive family, just chill, cool family. But when they have to face problems, they
Yep.
face it. When they have to fight, they fight. So many times I see my uncle fighting when something gets don't work good, and they have to defend the family. They just fight, and that's from I get that aggressive style. That's from I get that mentality of like I won't back down. Like you know, gates of hell. They close the gate in the cage. It's only one guy winning. Like I don't see that. I'm not thinking when I'm fighting like, oh, I'm famous back home. I'm making money. I don't want to lose that. I'm not thinking of that.
Right.
I'm just thinking of going there and take everything away from my opponent. Like it's his dreams or mine, and mine's are pretty powerful.
Now Andre has most of his finishes on the feet. Like I mentioned, he's a finisher. He gets a lot of most of his wins are early stoppages. You have most of yours on the ground. Do stats like that hide the fact that you are both very well-rounded fighters and dangerous in anywhere the fight goes, or do you feel going into this fight both of you do have clear advantages over the other? Do you feel like, yeah, I got to be careful with him on the feet, and do you think he needs to be very careful with you on the ground, or it's not even about that, it's wherever it happens?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not even tripping about what he's got. I already saw him. I know
Mm.
what he's got. I saw him fight live when he fought Nathan Wood. Um, I would take away all his weapons. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I'm bringing in. I'm bringing all the house with me. So I really feel it's gonna be another good one for me, and I really don't care what he's doing. I can guarantee he's not doing as much as I'm doing. So next Saturday, I will put him out.
Now you talked about there's gonna be like a whole bunch of people at the event because it's close to home, close to Ecuador. Is this like the most friends and family you've ever had at an event at one of your fights?
I'm pretty sure because a lot of people from Ecuador live in Miami.
Mm,
Like people go to Miami like weekly because it's so cheap to go there.
mm,
So I'm pretty sure a lot of people is gonna go there for me. So and that's not gonna change a thing in my mind. Like
mm,
I could have one friend or 40,000 people just cheering for me
yeah.
in the first UFC in Ecuador because I will bring that soon.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. Like when the cage is locked, no emotions, no feelings. Just two people and one's gonna go out.
Do you have any opinion on in terms of like the title situation at bantamweight? You know, do you feel like an interim title needs to come in already? Do you feel like people should just wait for Cejudo to come back? You know, also, does it at all bother you that guys like Faber, Frankie Edgar could cut the line, maybe get title shots, or
That
over guys that put in the work?
you know, that's cool. That's cool. If somebody cut the line, that's cool because that means they are at that level. They're the level that they can cut the line,
Mm,
and I feel I'll be there soon, and I feel I can fight those guys, no problem. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the bantamweights will decline to fight Frankie, and a lot of some bantamweights will decline Faber. But trust me, if those things came to my table, I would fucking take that in a minute. And I took a fight with Rivera in 5 days' notice. He
mm,
was the one who pulled out.
mm,
So that says a lot about me.
yeah.
And whenever the call came for the big fight or the hard fight, I will back up because all fighters have a break point. We as a humans, we break. So it's up to you to show it. It's up to you to don't show it, or it's up to you to pass that line.
Yeah.
I train so hard that I've been broken so many times in training that I know how hard
Mm.
is that. So I'm not tripping in experience and all that because I already doubled up my fights in the UFC than outside. And not too many guys make it to this point.
Yeah.
I came to UFC when I wasn't ready, and I'm still here. So that says a lot about my work ethic and how much I want this.
Now, I always like to end the interviews asking a fighter about what's their interest, what kind of things are they into that just has nothing to do with fighting. Like I've got some interesting stuff. I got people tell me video games, riding motorcycles, cooking, origami, knitting, all kinds of stuff. Like what kind of stuff do you like to do that when you have some free time for yourself? I'm sure you got to do stuff with the family, fighting. When you just have Marlon Vera Cheeto time, what do you
Oh, I
like
go
to do?
surfing. I
Okay.
go surfing with my friends. I'm a big time surfer in how much I like it, and I'm pretty good for being a fighter. I don't have the full time to surf. I grew up surfing, and then I was surfing a couple of days ago.
Mm.
Just I didn't tell my coaches because they would get mad because you can get really hurt surfing because
Yeah.
the waves were a little big. They were strong, so some of my wipeouts were like my friends told me like, hey, we gotta get out of here. I don't want you to get hurt. And I was like, okay, let's go. But I love surfing. I love being around my friends, and I think that's what I like the most doing when I'm not in full camp. Because 2 months ago I was surfing almost every day.
Is there a place in the world that you maybe want to visit that you haven't that like is great for surfing? I've heard Australia is great for that. Hawaii, have you
I
love it
went
that much?
I went to Hawaii, and the waves were bad the day I surfed, and
Yeah.
I still loving it. So I think I'll be back in Hawaii after this fight. But there's so many places in the world. Even Ecuador have awesome waves. Every
Mm.
time I go there, I surf. So next time I go, I bring my board with me, and that's what I really like to do the most: surfing and have my family in the beach while I'm surfing. My kids are playing. My wife is chilling with friends. So that's what I really like because I'm doing something, take everything away from my mind, but I also know my family is not at home fucking bored. They're
Mm.
with me, they're having
Yeah.
fun too.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. And then also, I just got a new truck. So after this fight, we're going to start camping,
Oh,
just
nice.
going out there with the kids and just show them what's real, like cook some food in the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
sleep in a tent. Like, you should know those things.
Yep. No
My dad never
phones,
took
no
me to
computers.
yeah, not compared to real
Yep.
life. My dad never took me to camping, but we have a farm, so that's as close as to
Yeah.
camping. So
Yeah.
you go 4 a.m. to milk the cows.
Yeah.
You go, with the machete, cut some grass.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up doing real stuff that I think taught me a lot about life and just the employees to come like 3 a.m. knocking my door like, hey, you want to come? And I was like, fuck yeah. You wake up some kids this day at 10 a.m. and they're fucking crying. So I like to teach what I feel make me stronger in life
Right.
to my
Mm-hmm.
kids, and then that's what I want for them. Just be able to hang life stuff and be able to just go through life like any other people, because I see a lot of people having trouble these days
Yeah.
figuring out how to do things. So the only thing I want to give to my kids is that like they just know how to fucking live. They
Yeah.
know how to work. They know how to pass bad moments, and that's all my focus.
Yeah.
Like I say this with a lot. In a world full of shit talkers these days, just be a fucking GSP, be a fucking Kelly Slater, be somebody that is the fucking greatest without
Yeah.
saying too much.
Yep.
Just be great. Don't be good, be great.